You're listening to TV Archaeology, Season 1, Episode 5. On this week's episode, we are talking about Twin Peaks, Season 1, Episode 5, The One-Armed Man. I'm Jason Mitchell.
I'm Adam Lejeune.
And, okay, so we're going to skip a lot of the intro stuff because by this point, if you're listening, I'm really hoping that you're watching Twin Peaks.
I mean, if you're not at this point, you might be missing a few things. So
you may. I actually spoke with one listener yesterday who listened to one episode, and this is a shout out to that particular listener who I would actually like to hear more from about TV and other things. And he said, "Well, I listened to the first episode, but I haven't seen Twin Peaks." So I think I think there's some things you're talking about that are going past me. And I said, well, yeah, that'll happen. I mean, like what? And he goes, well, I take it that there's someone named Laura Palmer who's very important to the story.
No, I mean, not really. Ultimately not, right?
Yeah, no, she's just sort of fluff.
No. All right. I actually talked to someone who listened to the first episode as well, and I said, oh, are you following along? And this person said, no. So didn't even really kind of qualify what the situation was, but I mean, I hope they can join us.
What most people think of what we're doing? We could just be making all this up. There is no Twin Peaks. It doesn't exist. Mm-hmm. We're just two insane people who we've known each other for so long. We're very good at yes-anding each other.
Right, and that actually isn't there. There's other podcasts out there, as I'm sure you're aware, and one of them is called "Welcome to Night Vale," which I think is scripted. I haven't listened to it, but that is the sort of main theme or the main conceit of their show is that it's a nightly broadcast from a town called Night Vale, where it's like all of the mystical type of stuff is real. It's very popular.
That's interesting. Yeah,
let's ride their coattails is what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm fine with that. I'll ride anybody's coattails.
No, I haven't listened to it yet. I don't consume a lot of modern media, I guess you could say.
I don't know. I mean, you're talking to a person who spent 5 hours building a Lego Saturn V while watching about 3 seasons or more of C-Lab 2021.
Well, they're such short shows. You know.
Oh, yeah, you can just burn through those. You know, I forgot that Captain Murphy leaves. Oh, really? Yeah. And they bring in a new captain. I completely forgot about that.
I guess, yeah, maybe I don't know. But, I mean, with was there one commercial break?
No.
In each episode? It was just straight through, like,
straight
10 minutes?
through 15 minutes. You got that.
Minutes,
then,
wow.
Then there was a commercial, and then you got yourself some Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Right. That's kind of a thing that people do now. That show Children's Hospital that's on Adult Swim does that 15-minute episode, and then there was a show that came on after it.
Well, they pioneered that.
The Adult Swim people, yeah, I think they did.
Well, I mean, you had Harvey Birdman. It was a 15-minute Aqua Teens, C-Lab,
Space Ghost, Coast to Coast, the Brack Show.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is much better. I'm wearing new headphones, and they're too good, so I couldn't hear myself talking. So if it changes the way that I'm speaking, I can't control the volume of my own voice.
Okay, we will we'll all note that.
Note that. Let's jump into the episode.
Okay,
I have a couple questions.
Go. I'm very keen to hear your take on this.
Tentpole a little bit.
Sure.
We found out that Andy is a damn good police artist. I am wondering what Tiny Elvis is for, and I don't think I really want to know. And let's see something from the end of the episode. Oh, the owls. The owls are watching now, so I can kind of start to understand what that means. I do have a lot of other questions from this episode because it was a extremely plotty type episode, I feel. Yeah,
this episode was very, very different from last week's episode, Rest in Pain, because that, Rest in Pain sort of established some things, and it didn't plot, but it sort of, it just went along at a kind of lazy pace. This episode, first of all, right away, as soon as you begin, you're looking at the sketch that Andy is making, that Sarah Palmer is describing to him.
And it's clearly Bob. I mean, with no reservation, it's clearly Bob.
There's no way that it could be. Well, I mean, look, we saw what Sarah Palmer saw, and we saw what Cooper saw, and we know that Cooper saw Bob. So
we have a privileged vision of the actual events of the show. But Donna kind of put two and two together, didn't she? About the fact that Sarah Palmer saw that person and that she had another vision that she thinks maybe they're related to each other. But we know that Jacoby was the one who took the necklace, right?
Yeah, that's been established. Jacoby took it. Now, what's interesting, and the change that this episode makes to the entire show is, we saw in Cooper's dream there was someone named Bob. Okay, well, that was in Cooper's dream, and you can interpret that as it's a dream, it's a message from the universe, whatever. The fact that Sarah Palmer saw Bob, and it wasn't like she saw him, out at a restaurant in the grocery store. She saw him in a weird apparition.
Crouched in the corner, kind of.
Yeah, he appeared, and then he was gone. So two people have now had an experience with an entity. I guess that would be the best word to describe him.
And as the audience, from the audience standpoint, I can only feel that we're supposed to believe everything that's happening 100%, right?
You mean the things that people see?
Yeah, like the fact that Cooper and Sarah Palmer both saw Bob in different sort of visions is we're necessarily supposed to interpret that as being the truth of the show.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's reality in the Twin Peaks universe. They both saw, and it's Bob. And what that means is that it's a safe bet to assume that everything else that Cooper saw in his dream is just as valid, just as real.
Right. And just to kind of go with that thread, they meet the one-armed man at the Twin Pines Mall or something, or the Hidden Pines Mall. Not mall.
Motel.
I'm thinking of
the motel.
Back to the Future.
Wow.
Yeah, the motel is called. I wrote it down. The mall is called
Motel
Timber Falls Motel.
Yeah.
Which there's a show that's called like Gravity Falls, right?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Gravity Falls is great. In fact, Gravity Falls would be an awesome show for us to do.
Right.
It's not old enough, so it doesn't really fit, But no, anyone who likes Twin Peaks. Seen it,
so there you go.
Well, yeah, Gravity Falls is one of the best television shows to come out in a long time. It's funny, it's well done, it's entertaining, and if you like Twin Peaks, you'll love Gravity Falls.
But that's by design, I would imagine, right?
Oh, yeah. It's clearly influenced by Twin Peaks.
But to kind of go there, the one-armed man in this case has a suitcase full of shoes because he claims to be a traveling shoe salesman who knew a Bob. Remind me of the conversation they had there, Cooper and.
You mean when they arrested him? Well,
yeah.
They didn't actually arrest him.
Room, right? The motel room.
Yeah. Well, the one-armed man. See, I don't want to get into spoiler territory.
Right. Well, I'll try to remember it as best I can. So, the one-armed man was staying in the motel room right next to Audrey's dad. And the woman from
Ben and Catherine continuing the least appealing love affair in television history.
And this time you could clearly see on Ben's face, like when he's not looking at her, is thinking, how much longer is this going to have to go on? Like, just pull the trigger already, please.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I kind of feel like we're supposed to know that he's not enjoying what he's doing.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say Benny's only in it for the money. And then Catherine
he goes
probably
to
is
wash
too.
Little Elvis.
Yeah, he gives Little Elvis a bath.
Little Elvis a bath. I don't want to know what that means, although I can imagine.
You?
I wouldn't even bring it up, dude. Like, Little Elvis can just stay at home.
Yeah.
It must be important for their lovemaking.
I love, just rolling back a little bit, I really love whenever they bring the sketch of Bob in and they show Cooper after he has his conversation with Dr. Jacoby. A really good performance, by the way. In the scene before then with Russ Tamblyn, who was on an episode of Babylon 5. Dr. Jacoby. I thought Russ Tamblyn did a really good job of acting that scene.
He's a very convincing nutcase. I don't remember what he did in that scene because all I wrote was Dr. Jacoby is a nutcase.
He's eccentric. I don't know if I would call him a nutcase. I think when you kind of, and it's impossible to do it because it's not even in the the show.
Yeah, it's in the lore.
Well, there's a good bit of backstory for Dr. Jacoby in the Secret History of Twin Peaks. He kind of does make sense in a way. I mean, he's got his reasons for really, really liking Hawaii, and you know what? That's fine. I mean, if that's your thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, it was the Hawaii stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But, I would think that most... I mean, obviously, it's a TV show, so we have to hold everything here in that context. But a realistic conversation between a psychiatrist and an FBI investigator would not be like that,
Well,
so it's a little bit strange, but it's part of the show. So I'm not knocking it or slagging it.
Yeah, well.
I think it's definitely it adds another layer of texture to it.
Yeah, David Lynch is on his way right now to your house, and he's going to.
What are you talking about? It's a great show.
Now listen here, Adam.
I definitely recognize that was David Lynch talking as Cooper's boss.
Oh my God!
I thought that was great.
The whole Gordon Cole thing. The fact that that's David Lynch is so
good.
Awesome, and you get to see a good bit of him too.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
You get to see him, physically see him?
Yeah, several times.
Cool.
Oh yeah,
great.
Yeah. No, okay. Going into the one-armed man. Talking about the one-armed man.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of parse what he says to them, okay? Because it's a really convoluted chain. So Cooper has his dream, and he sees Bob, and then Sarah Palmer describes Bob. Okay.
To Andy, the police sketch master.
Yes. And marksman.
Right. Expert marksman.
I'm so sorry, Agent Cooper. So they know, Cooper knows there's a connection between Bob and Mike. And so they go see Mike, the one-armed man, at the Timber Falls Motel. And when they confront him, they show him the picture of Bob, and he says, I've never seen that guy before. He goes, well, do you know Bob? He goes, yeah, I know Bob Lydecker. He's a veterinarian. So they go to the veterinarian's office, and
there's a llama there.
There's a llama, which was awesome.
Or maybe an alpaca.
No, I think it was a llama. Aren't alpacas hairier, like furry?
I don't know. I've never raised an alpaca before.
I don't know. I'll have to ask my mom.
Yeah.
So anyway, they go to the veterinarian's office. Now remember, they show the picture of Bob to Mike. Mike says, I don't know who that is. Do you know Bob? Yeah, my best friend, Bob Lydecker. He's the veterinarian. So they go there.
He's in a coma.
Well, yeah, they go there. They show the picture of long-haired evil Bob to the receptionist, and no, that's not him. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and take your files.
Right.
And in your files, we're going to find a clue.
Because, well, they knew beforehand that they were looking for bird wounds.
Yeah.
The bird wounds were made. Oh, this is what Gordon was telling Cooper. That was made by a minor bird or something like that.
Well, at first he said it was a bird, and it was later on. It was in I think the second phone call where he said it was a minor bird.
Right.
And then Andy went, through the files, and Agent Cooper.
Yeah.
Here's a bird named Waldo, and he's a minor bird. But this is what stands out to me about that. Picture of real Bob is shown to Mike. Yeah. Mike says, I don't know who that is. Gives him name of other Bob who happens to be a veterinarian. Totally unconnected to Bob. It's not the same guy.
Right.
But that's where the clue is that moves forward the investigation.
Right. But we already know that Mike and Bob are connected because of Cooper's dream. Yeah. And Cooper even asks him, did you have a tattoo? And then he said, he started crying or something about Bob.
Yeah,
but then,
no, he cried because he said his tattoo said Mom.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I thought he said Bob, actually. So I thought his tattoo said Bob. I'm like, that really was a really, really close friend.
No.
I tell you what, if you got a tattoo of my name, I don't know how I would take that. But anyway.
Well, but here's my point, though.
Yeah.
Mike gives them a clue. But he gives them a clue by sending them somewhere that really doesn't have anything to do with what they were looking for. It's a
he knew to send him there, though. I mean, if Mike is a otherworldly spirit of some kind, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what is interesting to pick up on. Because it's sort of like if you're an otherworldly spirit and I go up to you and I go, have you seen this guy? No, I don't know who that is. But secretly, I want to help you in your investigation. Oh, I've just arranged it so that the universe is such that a guy also named Bob happens to have a clue, and I'll send you to him.
Well, I get the feeling that they have rules of some kind, that they've maybe they're playing a game or they agreed upon some kind of rules. Because in the first dream that Cooper had, which I'm just taking at face value, right? Because why wouldn't you?
You should. Yeah, I think you should.
Mike said, we were, I was tired of all the killing, and so I guess there was some kind of rune or something symbol on his arm. He's like, I cut my arm off. Didn't he say that? Am I making things up here?
Yeah, he cut his arm off. That's what he said.
Right. So it's almost like they're two sort of entities of some kind that are at odds with each other but have to follow rules. And maybe one of the rules is I can't tell, the people that we're playing with the actual truth.
So you think that Mike is either intentionally aiding Cooper, or he's helping them, but he really doesn't care about helping them. It's just something that he's doing to get at Bob.
I kind of think that...
Or let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
Do you agree that he's helping them, but his motivation is unclear?
I think he's helping them. As far as motivation being unclear, the little monologue that he gives during Cooper's dream, to me, indicates that he's helping him because he is trying to prevent Bob from going too far.
Okay.
Right? So either it's self-serving or he's in it to protect other people. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the only real thing that I'm picking up on,
Yeah. Okay.
But I did like the shoes. It was a weird, creepy thing to have, especially when you first opened it and it's like just a suitcase full of shoes. And I would think that would raise a lot of questions. But then he goes, I'm a shoe salesman. Those are samples. And they're like, it's all right feet. And they're like, yeah. And it's just kind of weird.
Yeah. Isn't it interesting that Andy immediately noticed that?
Yeah. He's like some sort of autistic genius who can count in groups of two or something.
Yeah. They're all the right foot.
They're all right feet.
No, you can't do it. Agent Cooper.
So going back to the drawing, by the way, Cooper tells Harry Truman hey, that's exactly the same person that I saw in my dream.
Yeah, and I didn't go with you because I didn't want to influence Sarah Palmer.
I'm a strong sender.
Yeah, I'm a strong sender.
But here's what I wrote down.
I love how deadpan he says that. Like, you should just like accept that as a fact.
Yeah.
And he does.
So here's my thing. Clearly, Harry Truman knows that something mystical is going on because of the Bookhouse Boys. He did not seem to discredit the whole Tibetan thing.
Oh, no.
He did not seem to discredit anything that Cooper's doing. And most importantly, now we have Cooper coming in from outside. He recognizes Bob from the drawing. Cooper is an outsider who seems to have information or is confirming to Harry Truman that he knows things from a dream that corroborate the story of someone who was witnessing the thing. If I was, I don't want to say if I was Truman because it's obviously a show and blah, blah, blah. But this is the point where in reality, this would never, ever be something that a real law enforcement person should accept as real. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's the melodrama.
Truman, yeah. So, but I feel like Truman, even just a reference to the fact that he should be mistrusting him at this point, because, it just seems like Truman is a complete rube unless he knows more than he's actually letting on. I mean, if he's believing everything that Cooper's saying at this point, he seems kind of dumb,
He certainly trusts Coop. I think it's open to interpretation why he does. I mean, at this point, you could say, well, you're right. I mean, if this was a hard-nosed detective, he would be saying, well, hang on a second, that doesn't make any sense. Blah blah blah. But he's not. And I think part of it is that he's not a hard-nosed detective. I mean, he's the sheriff of a sleepy town in, northwest Washington.
But he clearly knows that something is going on, though.
Yeah. Well, and he's been in Twin Peaks.
Bookhouse Boys, the woods are evil. We've been like this secret society for generations. Like, it kind of seems like it's all part of the whole experience.
Yeah, I mean, he's been in Twin Peaks long enough to have experienced things, and he knows people who've experienced things. He's part of the Bookhouse Boys. And Twin Peaks it does have a history of strange things happening. Really, really strange things. Any one of those...
We haven't gotten to that in the show.
Yeah, you really don't. That's part of the secret history of Twin Peaks.
Yeah, right.
But it's pretty clear, like you said. I mean, Harry's got something. He knows something, even if it's just a feeling. And I think he just does genuinely trust Cooper. It's definitely interesting to see the relationship between the two of them.
Yeah. I mean, does it grow or does it change, or is that pretty much it?
What, you mean their friendship? Oh no, I mean they're best buddies.
Right.
Like they're the friends that they should have met 20 years ago.
Right. So another big thing was Norma's husband, the parole hearing.
Yeah.
And then the aftermath on that. I guess Norma decided to help as much as she could at the time. That scene was making me really anxious.
Yeah. Poor Norma.
Right. I mean, the dude is coded 100% as a no-goodster. Right?
Oh, yeah.
He's a bad dude.
Yeah, again, it's the melodrama.
Sucked on the domino at the end.
Yeah.
There's something not right with this guy. And poor Josie's all mixed up in it. But, that reminded me when I saw that of what you had said the last time of, maybe her motives are not as straightforward as they seem,
Yeah, this episode does very clearly establish that Josie her hands are not clean. She's up to something. She's not just the innocent little victim that Catherine and Ben are trying to take advantage of.
But she at least had the courtesy or the decency to look a little bit disgusted by the fact that she was talking to him and that they were planning something of some kind.
Yeah.
Although with the Dutch angle they put on the shot, you know, you think she would have fallen over, but that's a directorial joke.
Yeah. Cinematography joke. Really.
Yeah. Sorry.
You know, well, you know, but again, you know, that I think that's again getting back to the melodrama part of it, where if you look at if any of these people, you have to throw complications in, or it's not a real melodrama. Yeah, well, it's like Tom Baker said. I think it was in an audio commentary on a Doctor Who I heard years ago, but. He said, that's the thing you have to understand about melodrama. You know, he said, in real life, if I was walking somewhere with my wife and all of a sudden I paused and I put my hand to my head and I closed my eyes and I looked like I was having some sort of an episode, my wife would stop and she would say, "What's wrong?" And I would say it and she would say, "Oh, well, you know, do you need to go to a doctor? Let's take a look at that." You know? Yeah. But in melodrama, somebody does that. It's a clue. It's a signal to the audience that something's wrong.
Pay attention. Yeah.
Yeah. So audience pay attention. No one else pay attention.
Well, should we make an agreement then to kind of not bring up some of the weird melodrama things that are going on and just kind of present them as facts? Or is it fair to point them out, or how do you want to do this?
Well, I think it's fair to point it out, and I think it's part of the charm of the show. I like melodrama. Right. You know, when it's done well.
Yes.
You know, when it's...
and I do like... Yeah, go ahead.
Well, when it's part of a well-crafted show, melodrama's fine. Like, you know, Doctor Who. I mean, yes, Doctor Who's silly and cheesy and, you know, but the reason you like it partially is because of those things, you know?
Yeah. Well, I like the layering of complexity and intertwining of different plots. But also kind of would like some sort of laying down of everything after it, you know? Like some sort of arc that can actually be completed at the end of the season would be great. I don't have a lot of hope for it, but it would be awesome to have some sort of sense of closure on this season. Yeah,
you know, and that is one of the complaints about Twin Peaks, is that, you know, okay, if you dip in at Episode 5. Okay, remember, for purposes of context, when this show came out, there was no such thing as DVR. Right. There was no such thing as streaming video over the internet. There was no internet. So if you missed an episode, imagine missing this episode, okay?
Right. You come back.
And then you come back next week.
What the hell is happening?
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to spend half the show just trying to figure out, and they do a little bit of the, you know, TV thing where, you know, a character says, "Oh yeah, isn't that guy that what's his name was talking about?" Right. But they don't do a lot of it because they really don't have time, and it would weigh the show down.
Did the Palmers know that you were Laura's psychiatrist?
Right. Yeah. But so it is one of the complaints that there's so much in the show that, you know, your limited human attention span is just going to have to start dropping things after a while. You know, like, okay, well, Josie's on screen. Yeah, there's a whole thing going on with her. I don't really remember what it was. You know,
right. But I guess you can kind of pick it up. That's something that I noticed too. Trying to remember exactly what it was, but there was something. Someone mentioned something that I had just kind of forgotten about, but then they bring it up so that you can go, "Oh yeah," and I can kind of see that being a concession to people who didn't really carry the thread, you know. Yeah. Like we're not exactly watching this one a week. I'm watching it once every week in a couple days, right? And then I'm watching it, and then after a couple days we talk about it. So a lot of the ideas and a lot of the things that we're talking about don't even really get cemented in my head until a few days after I see it. Yeah. And then it's a few days more until I watch the next episode. So, you know, I may not be doing myself that many favors by watching the episode and then we wait a few days. But
well,
because I would imagine back in the day, if we were fans, we would talk about it immediately after the show came out. That would be the next day's topic of conversation, kind of like the whole water cooler thing.
Well, yeah, it's you're watching it in sort of an artificial way because you know that we're going to be talking about it.
Mm-hmm. I'm taking notes, etc.
Yeah. You're watching it critically,
right.
As opposed
to a
little
bit more critically than I would normally, just purely experientially.
Yeah, yeah.
So something I noticed, a theme of this episode that I wanted kind of to bring up was partnerships. People are telling each other sort of what they're dealing with. And so you have little small groups that are popping up to work together.
That's true. That's a very
Donna and Audrey are working together. Bobby and Shelley are now working together. Josie and Norma's
Norma and
husband.
Norma and Shelley are,
Well, the next episode is going to be a shopping spree.
Yeah.
And they're going to get their hair all did, and they're going to turn
90s
up.
style.
I just saw the preview. But yeah, no, people are starting to pair up, and like it's kind of like, divide and conquer and then combine and whatever.
Yeah.
Is there a saying there? Maybe?
Divide and conquer and divide whatever.
No, combine whatever.
I think Caesar said that. Yeah, divide and conquer and combine and whatever.
Combine whatever.
Yeah, and speaking of the whole Bobby Shelley thing, just as a public service announcement to any girls who think, I know what I'll do. When my husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever comes home, I'm going to get a friggin' loaded semi-automatic pistol that probably either doesn't have a safety or doesn't have a safety that works, and I'm going to seductively
pose with it
and rub my body with a pistol
with my finger on the trigger.
Yeah, those two things don't add up to being super sexy, And
I gotta be honest, this kind of like Shelley is being really disrespectful of the situation she's in. Like, is she doing this to really hook Bobby in to help her out? Or is she actually this, I don't want to say adventurous, but like, is she this cavalier? Because it would kind of explain why she fell in with Leo if she is this cavalier. But she finally pulls out the shirt. She shows it to Bobby. She's like, we're going to get him. Look what I got. Check me out. I'm so sexy with this gun. And then Bobby's kind of like rightfully freaked out, like he should be.
Yeah.
But then she just doubles down on it, Yeah. Like she really pushes him to do whatever they're going to end up doing.
Well, I think with Shelley in the past, before we knew her, Shelley was naive.
Yeah.
Leo talked a good game and got what he wanted from her because she was naive. I think that now she's not naive and she's having sort of a combination emotion where there's a chance of getting out of this really, really shitty situation.
Yeah. But there's so many better ways to do it.
You mean like just leaving?
Well, I mean, look, if she leaves, Leo's going to hunt her down, right? Like, that's obviously going to happen. But she has people that she can go to.
I don't think so. See, I don't think that Leo would hunt her down. And I'll tell you why. I don't think Leo cares anything about her. I mean, it's not like... Look, Leo gets all the action that Leo wants. Leo doesn't want to have anything to do with her for anything other than sleeping with her. But he gets that...
And for her to do his chores. But he's also super duper jealous, too, though.
He is. And he's psychotic.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we could predict Leo's actions or his motivations at all at this point.
You're right.
But also, she can't,
No. You're right. And so, is Bobby... See, and that was the weird thing with that scene, okay? Mm-hmm. The way Bobby was talking to her, you almost had to remind yourself, wait a minute, Bobby's working with Leo.
Right.
You know, that whole like, yeah, you know, Leo's bringing cocaine in from across the border and Jacques Renault this. It's like,
Yeah.
how do you know that? You know?
Well, you know, the whole school stock. Well, he says someone's selling cocaine at school or whatever he says.
Yeah.
Conveniently neglecting the fact that it's him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And Laura.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, he seems like he's also kind of afraid of Leo.
Oh, he's definitely.
You know, after everything happened, so maybe he's trying to do whatever he can. They're both kind of trying to use each other. You know.
Yeah.
It's a mutual use thing.
Well, it's two people who are afraid of Leo who are together, and they're reinforcing each other.
Yeah.
You know, is Bobby afraid of Leo? Yes, he's terrified of Leo. He is absolutely terrified of Leo.
But now here's the thing: Bobby can't go to the cops to talk about Leo,
no,
because he'd implicate himself.
Right.
Shelley can, but she's too scarred by Leo. You know, she's broken in a way that prevents her from being able to do anything but try to get him.
Well, I think part of the melodrama there is that it's Shelley's way of thinking is, and she may have said something like this, or she might say it later, that I could go to the police, but they won't believe me. And that's okay. Well, that's why you don't go to the police. Done. That's
her. Yeah, that's her. Yeah, that's her reason for it. Speaking of guns, just real quickly, it was a fun scene after Andy dropped the gun and shot off into the distance at the motel. They being Cooper and Truman and Hawk and Andy went down to the basement to shoot guns, and of course, Cooper is just a badass.
Of course he is.
At guns.
What would you expect?
He shot 6 rounds, put 2 through the eye holes so not to ruin his smiley face he put on the target. Didn't flinch once. I mean, you know, all credit to Kyle MacLachlan on that one, because he did not flinch at all.
No.
And then Truman was just flinching like a crazy person, almost as bad as Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon. But do you remember that? He was just like tossing his head around like crazy. But of course, the character in Lethal Weapon was still super badass with a gun. But
yeah, he was, and he was also completely insane. So
yeah,
you know.
yeah. But no, Kyle MacLachlan, it was shooting blanks, but you know, still, you're shooting a gun. You're gonna flinch.
Yeah.
So good on him.
And good job, Andy, managing to shoot a gun like no human being in history has ever shot a gun.
I don't remember what he did.
You don't remember that when he was shooting and he was basically just, you know, his arms were flapping. And also, again, how cool is Hawk?
Yeah,
Hawk's
that was
so
cool.
damn cool.
I did something the other day that I didn't think I would ever do. I watched an episode of Walker, Texas Ranger.
Go on.
Hawk is a regular cast member on Walker, Texas Ranger.
Are you shitting me?
Yeah.
Oh, great. Now I got to go watch Texas Ranger.
No, please don't. It's so bad.
Didn't you know, like, the stunt double?
I didn't know him, but he went to the church that my parents went to.
It was Chuck Norris' stunt double.
Chuck Norris's stand-in, not his stunt double, but looked just like him. Yeah, looked just like him. Because it was filmed up in Dallas, you know. But, so, no, Walker, Texas Ranger
by the way,
went...
Can you imagine being the stunt double and saying, when it's too dangerous for Chuck Norris, they call me?
Yeah, right. Actually, okay. This may be a good episode to watch because it's in a really super ridiculous, horrible way. It's so good. It's so bad that it's good way, right?
Now, you're talking
Chuck
to somebody
Norris,
who watches Xena and really enjoys it.
But that's actually good, though.
Okay.
Honestly.
All right. So
yeah.
Okay. Because I don't know Walker, Texas Ranger. I mean, I've seen a few episodes, I think. But
Well,
for
let me just
for
lay out
some
the
reason, when
plot
I think
for
of
you.
Walker, Texas Ranger, I think of Renegade. I don't know why.
Lorenzo Lamas.
Yeah.
Lorenzo Lamas is the renegade version of Walker, Texas Ranger.
Maybe that's why I think about it. It's weird.
Yeah. No, so Walker, Texas Ranger hears about some drug trade at a school and goes to pretend to be the principal of the school. And the first thing he does
Hi,
is
I'm
he brings
Principal
in
Walker, Texas Ranger.
yeah. You guys have a real drug problem here, eh? The first thing he does is he brings in the power team to perform for an
Oh my
auditorium
God!
full
I have
of
to see this.
glassy-eyed teens.
I have to see this. Who will immediately go and start using drugs?
Well, you know, the power team were all completely, totally, 100% blitzed the entire time.
You would have
that's
to be.
history. That's real.
Yeah.
And of course, they're all like, "You can do anything you put your mind to. You know, this steel bar that I'm bending with my teeth represents a wall, and you can bust this wall down just like I'm bending this steel bar."
And this needle that I'm sticking in my arm.
Couldn't you actually break a wall? So yeah, no. And so he's there, and it turns out that one of the teachers at the high school, who's a former Navy SEAL, is the ringmaster behind the drug ring.
Ringleader. Ringmasters are at circuses.
It's kind of a circus there, right?
Okay.
It's pretty crazy, but the power team straightens all that out. And there's actually a line where,
by the way,
one of the female.
By the way, not to interrupt you, but Woodford Reserve,
you did.
Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, very
Is it
good, very good.
Yes. So one of the staff members comes up to Walker, Texas Ranger and says, "Oh wow, that assembly was so good! Like it made such a change. I can already tell on the students." And then Walker, Texas Ranger goes, "Yeah, it sure did. And you know what? It's about time they could use a top up." And then he brings Power Team on again, and they do another routine. Yeah, so like half the episode is Power Team blowing up water bottles and breaking bricks and, you know, smashing each other with stuff. It's pretty great. But
this
so
white
at some
powder
point,
that I'm sucking up my nose, it represents all of your insecurities.
So Walker, Texas Ranger is trying to protect this boy who witnessed the murder of one of the teachers by the former Navy SEAL. Excuse me. And he figures out that it's him because for some reason, somehow, he tracks him to the top of a building.
Of course.
In Dallas. And then he goes...
Well, that's where all the Navy SEALs hang out. I mean, they exclusively
Yeah.
hang out at the tops of tall buildings.
Right. So he's about to beat this kid up and throw him over the edge of the building, right? Mm-hmm. And then...
Why beat him up first? Just throw him over the edge.
Walker, Texas Ranger goes, "I'm a Texas Ranger, and you're under arrest." And then the former Navy SEAL is like, "Well, let's see how a SEAL versus a Marine does." And then they have a kung fu fight.
A Marine?
I guess it'd be a karate fight. Well, because Walker, Texas Ranger is a former Marine in the show.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they talked about that earlier. I didn't mention it. So, but then
That's part of the
Walker,
secret
Texas
history
Ranger,
of Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah. Walker, Texas, you get to buy it from Amazon, $35.
Yeah, it's
hardcover only.
Yeah, it's 7 pages long.
He was a Marine. That's it. No, but listen, this is the best part. So they're having their karate fight, and it's done in sort of sped up Xena style, right? Or like back in the day.
Like undercranking?
Yeah, undercranking like Highlander used to do, right? So they're kung fu fighting or karate fighting, and then eventually Rainbow Six is about to get a move on Walker, Texas Ranger, and Walker, Texas Ranger just like dodge slaps him, and then he goes over the edge of the building.
Oh yeah, that was going to happen.
Splats on the ground. No one-liner that I could recall. But it was a really interesting end to an episode about Walker, Texas Ranger pretending to be a principal.
Of course, there wasn't a one-liner. I mean, the script process, the writing process for that episode was drugs at a church school, and it's a Navy SEAL. I don't know, guys.
Yeah,
can we just do this? I want to go.
That's the ultimate. Yeah, let's throw in a message about like being good.
Yeah.
And there was one last scene of the episode. Do you want to guess what it was?
The Power Team?
Power Team.
Yeah.
One more time, baby. They really got their $250 worth or whatever it cost to host Power Team. I am super curious right now. How much did it cost in the 90s to rent the Power Team?
No, the real question is, if I wanted to rent them right now to cut my grass, how much would that cost me? And I don't think it would cost that much.
How much does it cost? Here we go. Power Team is still kicking it, by the way. Power Team 2.0.
They all got out of rehab.
Each crusade is a 5-night event. Each night features 90 minutes of illustrative sermons. How much is it? They don't say. Although Walker, Texas Ranger is the very first thing on their list.
That's awesome.
Of endorsements.
Send me the link. I'm going to send them an email, and I'm going to ask them how much.
Oh, I don't know if you want to do that,
no,
dude.
I am.
You don't want to get on the Power Team's radar.
No, I'm going to send them an email. I'm going to ask them how much, and then I'm going to see if we can get one of them on the show.
Oh, please don't do that.
No, I totally am going to get a Power Team guy on the show to talk to us all about Walker, Texas Ranger on a podcast about Twin Peaks.
About Twin Peaks,
yeah.
Okay.
Is that what we're talking about?
Say,
Twin Peaks.
They don't say how much. They don't say how much it is. Yeah, but that was such a. I mean, come on.
I'm going to find
Walker,
out, man.
Texas Ranger.
I'm going to find out.
I've never seen it before.
You're
it was
ordained,
totally
right?
it.
You're like a minister or something, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. We're going to host a Power Team.
The Power Team. I don't think they would agree with the tenets of my faith.
Well, that's fine. I'm going to send them to your house, though.
Okay, good.
I'm going to pay. I'm going to pay whatever it costs, and I'm going to have the Power Team crash at your house for 5 nights.
So much. I'm sure it is so.
5 nights. The Power Team is going to be at your house, and you're going to have a 90-minute sermon every night.
I can't wait. Are they going to do illustrative sermon or illustrative?
How do you do an illustrative sermon?
By bending metal bars in your teeth and busting up brick walls.
Well, Jesus did that, but Jesus didn't show it off.
That was his main gig.
Well, no, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, Jesus, yeah, he could bend a metal bar with his teeth.
Right, yeah.
But he wasn't going to show it off, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So what are the Say No to Ghostwood posters all about?
Ghostwood is the proposed development. That's what Catherine and Ben,
the Norwegians and the Iceland, and all that stuff. That's what they're working on. Okay,
yeah, and you have to remember, Twin Peaks, and go back to the 90s. Okay,
mm-hmm.
Twin Peaks is a timber town. It's a lumber town.
Mm-hmm.
Which in the 90s was synonymous with impending economic collapse.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, unfortunately, now it's synonymous with a collapsed economy because a lot of those towns
up there, yeah. Well, timber is not. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of timber going on down south because pine grows so fast.
Yeah, and it's just.
But up in the region, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough economy to hook your entire town to, and it can go away in a heartbeat, and then you're screwed. So
yeah.
I think,
so Norma is against the development, though, and I.
Yeah, I mean, Ghostwood is loosely. Ghostwood equals bad.
Yeah.
And Norma.
But isn't it only because the Horns are involved in it and they're conspiring to like burn down the mill and like.
Well, but nobody knows that.
Yeah, but I mean, the universe of the show, it's bad.
Yeah.
Because it's a big development and it's. I guess. Well, I mean, you're just now hooking your economy of your town to tourism instead of timber, and there's no history in that. So,
well, not tourism. I mean, they want to develop. Well,
it'll be a resort, though, right?
No, it's housing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Ghostwood Estates.
So there's no reason for the town to be there except for the town to be there.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of like where we grew up.
Well, yeah, I mean, what Ben and Catherine want to do. And this is reality, in a lot of towns, even today, is they want to fundamentally change the nature and character of Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people don't want that because they like the quiet little town.
Right.
Right. Which actually, that brings up something that I'm going to have to watch for in season 3. Because it's an interesting thing to think what happened with...
that
with that, because if I remember correctly, and we'll find out eventually, but I don't I don't think the Ghostwood Estates thing ever gets resolved in any way. It's just sort of an ongoing thing. But yeah, I'll have to look for that in the next episode of Twin Peaks season 3, which I really wish it was on tonight. I'm so used to binge watching things that waiting a week.
Right. Yeah.
It's torture, And I said before that they were doing season 3. It was going to be a bunch of 2-hour movies, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. That was the first 2 weeks, and now it's just an hour. Yeah, Showtime.
You get all blue-balled on it now?
Oh, God. I mean, it's like, just give me one more hour. I just need to know a little bit more, especially because stuff is finally starting to happen that...
Right. They're done reintroducing everybody.
They've been done with that for a while.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I can't wait to watch it. I'm excited. Well, yeah, because it's been... I guess the next episode would be the 5th hour of the show, right? Like kind of like the 5th episode almost.
No, it would...
Even though it's only been 3 weeks.
No, it would be... The next episode is going to be part 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they win it. Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So
I've only got a couple more things on my list. We're getting. Oh, we're not. We're still got some time.
Yeah. Audrey in the girls' room.
Audrey in the girls' room. Well, that was another instance of people teaming up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I just really like that she's just like done smoking the cigarette, just toss it in the sink. She doesn't give.
She does not give a crap. Yeah.
Donna, of course, goes and picks it up and takes care of it because that's how she does. I like the duo. I like the Donna Audrey duo because Donna is like a good girl who is maybe hiding something bad about herself, and Audrey is like a bad girl, quote unquote, who is hiding something good about herself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that she actually seems to be a loyal, decent person.
She is.
And then later, whenever she talks to her dad about becoming more involved in the business, and of course he's not really buying it,
which
at
is
all.
Just a ploy.
Right.
Yeah.
And man, you want to talk about? I hate Ben Horn so much. He is such a sleazeball, such a slime ball. I don't know.
You do have to kind of like him a little bit. Come on.
No, he's terrible. Like, even when he's doing something goofy, it's like, it's just gross.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
so I thought that was a good little scene.
A couple of things towards the end of the episode that are going to become important things to pay attention to. One, the chip. The thing that was in Laura Palmer's stomach, was part of a poker chip from One Eye Jacks.
Yep. So that'll come up later. I'm sure they're going there pretty soon.
Andy finds the bird, Waldo.
Yep.
And not only is it a Mina bird, but it was owned by Jacques Renault. So now we've got a connection.
Right. We got a link there.
Yeah.
Right.
And is standing as sort of the omnipotent viewer, Laura Palmer, she's now connected to Jacques Renault because Jacques Renault's bird was evidently biting Laura Palmer.
Right.
We know that Jacques Renault is connected to Leo.
And Polanski, right?
Who?
Pulaski? Nancy
Leanne.
Pulaski or Polanski?
Yeah.
Leanne?
So we know that Laura is tied to Jacques. Jacques is tied to Leo. Laura's also tied to One Eye Jacks. One Eye Jacks is tied to Ben Horn. So you start to see the way. Remember at the funeral when Bobby was saying Laura was in trouble and we all knew it?
Right.
You're starting to see that in a very literal way. Laura was in trouble. Look at the connections. There, people in town, it's sort of like, I have a secret and I don't think that anyone else knows it, so I'm going to keep it a secret. But in reality, you have the same secret, but you think you're the only one, so you're not going to tell me.
Right. Well, really, I mean, Ben Horn it's clearly implied that Ben Horn was linked to Laura Palmer at One-Eyed Jacks, right?
Yeah,
that's the clear implication that they were linked to each other.
Yeah, in some way.
Right.
Yeah.
Jacques wasn't at the funeral.
Jacques Renault?
Bobby was. Yeah, Jacques
Renault
was
Jacques
at the funeral, was
funeral. Yeah, Jacques.
Was Leo at the funeral?
No.
So I kind of felt like Bobby was talking more to the normal people that were there.
He probably was.
Now, my question is, does Leland have a chip? Does he go with Ben Horn, or is he relatively clean in all this? Well, because we haven't really seen anything from him except for him being really super sad, and then in this episode, giving Sarah Palmer crap earlier in the episode.
Yeah, and for the purposes of time, let's move ahead to Jacques Renault's apartment.
Yeah, there was a full-on SWAT operation at the end of this episode.
Yeah. Except
Bobby
they didn't
hit his shirt with the blood, Leo's shirt. Clearly, something's going to come from that.
Yeah,
but
what's amazing though is that it's a full-on SWAT operation where nobody's behind the building, making sure no one crawls out the window.
Yeah,
melodrama.
Yeah. No, and I hope that they spend some time in that apartment in the next episode, if they can tear time away from Shelley and Norma going shopping.
Oh yeah. You're going to get to see Jacques' apartment. I
noticed there's really only one more thing that I have, which was the bizarre Lynchian conversation toward the end of the episode with Josie wearing very flattering negligee, making a turkey sandwich for Martell, and agreeing to join him in a fishing tournament.
Yeah. And
I can't wait for the fishing tournament subplot to really get started.
I think that episode, too, I think what was important, or not episode, I think what was important about that scene was you have Josie looking, she's dressed sexy, and really all Pete wants from her is for her to go fishing, and it really is nice that she's making him a sandwich. That's
right.
Pete. Pete.
Well, he's a good guy.
Yeah, Pete is.
He's interested in fish and fishing.
Yeah,
and sandwiches.
He's not a complicated man at all.
I didn't count the seconds. I really need to start counting the seconds on stuff when I notice it. But the mayo shot was probably 3 seconds too long. I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's is that just because they held on the mayo? Just was David Lynch back there saying hold on the mayo a little bit longer, or is there a plan
Mark,
to holding
I
on
think
the
the
mayo?
problem here is that we're not seeing the mayo clearly enough. The audience may be confused whether it's mayonnaise or cottage cheese
or Miracle Whip. Oh man!
No, last thing. Because the stuff with Josie and Hank that'll come up in the next episode, but
right,
we get to see Leo and Ben discussing their machinations,
right? Yes,
and that's going to become that'll be a very important event coming up.
So. It seems pretty straightforward on the surface. Ben wants to pay Leo to burn the mill down. Bing, bang, boom, decision made. Leo's like, I'll take care of it. And that seems like pretty much that, right?
As far as Ben is concerned,
yeah,
absolutely.
To him, it's done deal.
As far as Leo, yeah. Leo's in business, and his business is doing illegal things.
Dirty deeds done dirt cheap?
Probably not that cheap.
Yeah.
And it's funny. This is the third time I've seen this episode, and I don't know why I never remembered that Leo killed Jacques' brother.
Yeah, Jacques' brother.
Yeah. Bernard.
Now, don't you think that's going to drive a little bit of a wedge between Jacques and Leo?
If he finds out.
True.
Yeah.
You might think the Bookhouse Boys did it.
Or you might just think Bernard...
Then it's full-on war.
That would be awesome.
Episode 7, Twin Peaks 2017. Look out, folks.
Man, that's true. I'd love it if the Bookhouse Boys showed up in the new season.
So what do you think Leo is saving up all this money for? Because he's clearly not spending it on his house or his wife.
Probably hair products.
On that note, this has been...
Thank you, folks. We'll talk to you again next week.
Have a real good week and a pleasant tomorrow, or whatever the saying
May
is.
God bless.
Poison ivy update.
Yes.
Doesn't itch anymore. It's almost gone.
Thank you, Adam. Now, turning to my Ebola, it's gone.
Uh-huh. Great. Fantastic.
And Laura Palmer
Is that all that you...
is still dead.
Still dead.
Let me know if
But Maddie, alive.
let me know if her condition changes.
I will.
That was the
I will.
hospital. She's dead. What is that from? That's from... I
don't know.
That's from... is that from that Val Kilmer movie, Real Genius?
Real Genius?
I think it is. I don't know. I might be thinking of something else where the guy's on the phone. Let me know if his condition changes, and he hangs up. He's dead.
It sounds like a... No, what was
It's
Top
like
Secret?
That's like a
The other Val
Zucker...
Kilmer movie.
Yeah, that's like a Zucker Brothers joke.
Yeah. That's why I think it's Top Secret, maybe, or one of those movies.
You know what? Yeah, I think that's got to be what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else? Because I am tapped out.
No, that is it. Okay, folks, thank you very much for listening to episode 5 of season 1.
Why don't you get the Twitter handle out there?
Oh, yeah. Go on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. It's very simple. It's just we're at TV Archaeology. We're on Facebook also, I think. I set it up, but I hate Facebook. So tweet to us. If you tweet us a question, we will read it on the air. If you tweet us a compliment, we will read that on the air. And if you insult us by tweet, we will send the power team to your house for 5 nights, including 90 minutes per night of demonstrative sermons or whatever.
Demonstrative sermons.
Okay, folks. For TV Archaeology, I am Jason Mitchell.
And I think my recording stopped, but we'll never know. This is Adam Lejeune signing off.